Y'all dealing with the king. If you wanna come and get it, let the outlaw get you out your seats. You want sports talk, politics, he don't give a shit. Roker says speaks, follow it. About to issue y'all a masterclass. You wanna pass? Gunslinging the new podcasting candy ass. Grab a top bench, get information. It's your boy John Roker. Welcome to the Outlaw Nation.
Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Outlaw Nation. I am your host, John Roca, a.k.a. The Outlaw. How is everyone doing, huh? I know it's been 2 weeks. I apologize. It's just been super crazy in my life a couple weeks ago with New York Comic Con, and I kind of felt bad the week before. I'd only done like a half an hour episode while I was driving up to work because that was the only time I had to record it. So, you know, I just felt like I didn't want to just sit outside and record an episode for you all while I was at Comic-Con, but maybe I should have done that. So, you know, sometimes it's just trial and error when you do these episodes, when you do these podcasts. You don't know what works, what doesn't work. And sometimes you're just beholden, unfortunately, to the host of the show, which is me. And I just didn't feel like you guys would get as much out of that if I was just sitting out there, just, you know, shooting the shit. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. You guys can tell me. I'm sure you will. And then the week after, or last week, I just was crazy sick from Comic-Con, and I'm sure one of you guys gave it to me. One of you all listening to me right now, probably at that meet and greet that we had, which was a blast. I'm sure one of y'all gave me whatever the hell you were fighting off, whatever sickness. So Purell will be in my pocket from now on for these meet and greets. And what have you, because, you know, a man's got to stay in good health, for God's sakes. You know, I've had to take a day off of work, which I hadn't done since I started, which was really weird. All right, I'm recording this like Wednesday night, 11 o'clock around Wednesday night. Just got back from a screening of The Snowman. I went with Perry and Wendy. You know, the new film that's coming out with Michael Fassbender and Rebecca Ferguson, Chloe Sevigny, James Darcy. There's so many people in that film. I'm not allowed to give my opinion, I don't think, by the time this goes up. Or maybe I am, because 9 o'clock's the embargo. So if you're listening to this after 9 a.m., all I can tell you is, for the love of God, do not go see this movie. It is absolutely terrible. And I don't know what to tell you. Like, we all walked out of that film just being like, what the crap did we just watch? Like, why did we just sit here and watch this? It was so disjointed and all over the place, and nothing made sense, and nothing connected, and everything was tenuous. And then the climactic moment is an accident, and you're just like, oh, well, then what was the whole point? So all I can tell you is, don't waste your money on The Snowman. And if you even have a remote desire to want to see Fassbender in a movie like this, just wait till it comes out on like video or something, or on the pay channels, and then you don't have to pay for it necessarily directly for that film. So it is terrible, absolutely terrible. What else can I say? So Comic-Con. Let's talk about Comic-Con. Let's jump into Comic-Con. So Comic-Con was a blast. It was my first time in New York, at a New York Comic-Con, rather. I've been in New York numerous times, but it was the first time at New York Comic-Con. And people ask me, like, what's the difference? What's the difference? All I can tell you is this. New York Comic-Con is like the Rose Bowl. It's like a huge stadium. There's so many people. It's so exciting. People are excited to watch the panels and do the events and do, you know, go to the walk the floor, do all the things that you want to do. They're so excited to do all of that. And so all I can tell you is that it is just overwhelming, and not in a bad way. You know, it's great to be surrounded by people who are so excited for everything that they're doing. And in between before all the big panels, they have a DJ, and they have a guy who's like warming up the crowd. And so it's a whole nother vibe. It's very much an East Coast vibe. That kind of thing is just an East Coast vibe. You know, like, everybody, we're here for the Walking Dead panel. Yeah, bring it up, give it up, all that kind of stuff. And it's not necessarily my cup of tea, to be honest with you. No disrespect to the people who do this and they're paid to do this, and the DJs and the guy who warms up the audience. Like, that's a profession. God love you. Make your money. Live your life. Provide for your family or for yourself, whatever you need to do. it's just, for me, it's just not for me. I'm so used to San Diego Comic-Con, which is you show up, you get into the room, you sit down, you talk with your friends, you check your phone, you get excited, you see what's coming. Guy comes out, presents everything, talks about what's going to happen, tells you to turn off your phone, tells you not to record things, tells you not. So you're excited for it. So you're getting hyped up for it yourself. You don't need to be like hyped up by another person for what you're about to see. And maybe that's a mistake, on my end, in terms of interpretation, in terms of like what I expect from a New York or from a Comic-Con. And so maybe I didn't go in being okay with having someone trying to whip the crowd into a frenzy. But that being said, the crowds are incredibly excited for the panels that they do. And it may just be because these guys get them all hyped up. Maybe that's the point. I also think people go and spend the money and go into these rooms and put themselves into these positions so that they can whoop it up and cheer for the panels and the actors and the creators and the writers and the producers of the content of the franchises or of the properties or the films and TV shows or comic books that they are going to watch. So to me, they're already probably hyped up as it is. And maybe the hype man just gets them over the edge, cuts them over the line, which, like I said, I don't fault it. It is what it is. San Diego's a smaller situation, definitely a smaller situation. And so for me, it's more quaint. It's more like just connected. It just feels that way, also because it's all in one building pretty much, except for like those outside installations. But for the most part, it's all in one building or within like a real quick walking distance to like the Bayfront Hilton where they have some panels as well. Whereas in New York, you go to like Madison Square Garden or Hammerstein Ballroom or the Javits Center. It's all like spread out. So there's so many places to go and walk, and you have to spend like 15 minutes to 30 minutes walking to the next thing. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And certainly no negativity in that way. It's just a different animal, different beast. I still had a great time. And I met a lot of awesome people and, got to see so many great panels. I got excited for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I didn't expect to get excited for. The Gifted panel was great. Keanu Reeves was awesome. The film looked terrible, but Keanu Reeves was awesome. What else? Got to do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I was really surprised about enjoying. Star Trek Discovery was great. Walking Dead was great. I got to watch the entire Batman versus Two-Face animated movie, which was the last voiceover work by Adam West. That was such a blast to be able to do that. And Shatner came out, and Burt Ward came out, and all these people, all these creators came out. Tara Strong came out when we went to the 25th anniversary of the animated series. Kevin Conroy, all these people. I got to see that panel, the X-Files panel. So I got to hear all these people with Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny, and so all the different people, and Chris Carter, of course, all the different people were there for all these things. So it was a joy to be able to sit in there and watch these panels and then get to comment on them and talk about them on Collider. So it was a really great experience to be able to be a fan still, but then also do work, like also work for an outlet, work for my outlet, for Collider, and give my analysis and my breakdown of the things I was watching and the things I was excited about and things I wanted to get people to watch or look at or tune into, and I even got to interview some people, which was really great. I got to interview people from the President Show, that guy who does a great impersonation of Trump, and the person who does a great impersonation of Pence. I got to interview them. I got to interview the creator of Drunk History, Derek Waters, and I got to interview so many people in that way to be able to, it was great, and then I got to do stuff with David Griffin. I got to do stuff with Wendy. I got to do stuff with Dennis. So there was so much about it, and Schnapp as well, being all those Heroes episodes that we shot on site at New York Comic Con. So there was so much about it that was incredibly fulfilling for me, and another next step in this career of mine that I've been going through and experiencing and having so much fun doing, and sometimes you forget, because you get caught up in so much that you're doing and so much is going on, so much of the outside stuff, you're having friction with people. Like, you forget that the reason why you did all this is because you love movies and film and television and superheroes and comic books and, all this interesting new type of media that you can explore and experience and enjoy. And so New York Comic Con was such a great experience for me because of that. I got to still be a fan. I got to sit through panels And I enjoy doing that. Some people don't like to sit through panels. They're annoyed, they're bored by them, but I enjoy it. I really do. I get so much out of watching people. And also for me, I learned from some of them, not all, but certainly some of the moderators who ask the questions in these panels, who run these panels. They're great learning experiences for me, who I'm still building as a host. For all the things that I host, I'm still building as a host and building in confidence and becoming that veteran, and it takes time. You got to put your time in. You got to put your hours in. That 10,000 hours rule. And that's what I'm doing. And so I'm enjoying it so much. And everyone who I work with is so great and so awesome to learn from and encouraging, and it's just a great experience all around, so I had such a good time, and of course I got to do my stand-up, which was really cool. Second time doing stand-up. Big shout out to Mark Ellis, who I have to get as a guest on the show real soon. Mark was so fantastic again in guiding me through it and talking to me about it and, getting me in a really good place about going out there on that stage. I'll tell you, when I was sitting in the green room, I was incredibly nervous because, when I did it the first time, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I was going to bomb or if I was going to get any laughs or if I was going to, kill it, So, and I did all right for a first time. And I did 7 minutes for a first time, which is pretty, from what I've been told is pretty amazing, and then now there was pressure to go back out there a second time. Can you make them laugh? When people are like, oh, well, it's a ready-made audience for you. It's a tailor-made audience for you. But I respect the audience too much to think that they would just laugh at anything I say. You have to be somewhat funny. So we were in not a bigger club, but certainly a club that felt more full than the club we were at in San Diego, in La Jolla, the Comedy Store, which was great. This other club, the New York Comedy Club, it was like packed to the rafters in the room. It was full. There was not a seat open in the place. So when I walked out there, I had to really take that in for a second, and I immediately was just like, hey, that's great. Everyone was chanting my name, chanting the Outlaw or chanting the Roca, which was great. And I just said, this is an awesome experience. People should have their names chanted like this, because it makes you feel really good inside to know that there are a bunch of people who like and enjoy what you do, or like and enjoy you, period, as a person. So that was such an awesome thing to walk out there and feel. And then I just kind of slid into this place about it and got really comfortable and relaxed. And hearing everybody cheer for you kind of relaxes you a little bit, because it makes you feel like, what, these people are on my side. I can do the work. I can do the jokes. I can try and do the jokes. They'll go with me at least a little bit. And so that put me in a really great place. And so I was able to start. And it was, I felt really good with the things I was coming up with and the kind of universal jokes that I was making and people were connecting to. But I got kind of lost in the middle. I got kind of lost a little bit because I wasn't sure what I was saying. I wasn't sure what I wanted to say next. And so I was just kind of floundering in this place of Outlaw Nation and talking about how people should be themselves and, those kinds of things. And then it hit me to talk about sports. So although I stumbled in the middle or near the late middle of the set, it was necessary for that to happen. Sometimes you get caught up with the fact that, I didn't do as well, or I failed, or I didn't get there like I wanted to get there. But the truth is, like Nelson Mandela said, it's something I'm really starting to embrace more and more in my life, is that I don't fail, I learn. I either win or I learn. And that's a really powerful thing, because words can have such powerful effect in your mind when you're doing something, And if you don't quite get there, or if you stumble or you make a mistake or whatever, then when you come off stage, the first impulse, if you're any kind of self-destructive person or a person who has, a proclivity to beat themselves up, is that you beat yourself up and you make yourself feel terrible about it. And you say, I could have done better. I could have done this. But in the long run, how does that serve you? You know what I'm saying? How does that serve you to be that way? I argue that it doesn't, because you just kind of beat yourself up, and in beating yourself up, you don't come back from it. You just sit in that place of feeling terrible about yourself. And there's worth, knowledge to be gained by not being that way, by just saying, okay, where did I mess up? Where did I go well? And then give the stuff that you did well weight. Give it more weight than the stuff you messed up, and that's really important, because it takes just as much effort to put yourself down or bring yourself up than it does to put yourself down. It takes less effort to bring yourself up. Less. You did great. You are good in these parts. And then here's what you need to work on. And then be excited to work on it because you can work on it and you recognized it. It means there's a chance you can fix it, a chance you can be better. And after I'd sat for like 10 minutes feeling terrible that I'd kind of gotten lost in the middle and didn't quite nail it as hard as I wanted to nail it, some of those jokes, I eventually came out of my shell and was like, okay, this is a moment. This is a learning opportunity. All right, where did you mess up? Where did you get lost? Why did you get lost? What happened to you? What was your mental process? When you were getting lost, what was occurring for you? And so in that moment, I realized when I walk on stage, I should have 5 subjects I want to talk about, with the points underneath them kind of memorized in my head. Not necessarily in order, just memorized in my head so I can hit them. And that's what I learned from having those 2 or 3 minutes where I felt like I was floundering a little bit in the set. I learned that if I know what topic I'm going to talk about next, I'm smart enough and I'm experienced enough as a host to transition into that topic as smoothly as I can. And so there it is. So I take that with in my pocket for the next time I do it, which will be soon. I know it's going to be soon. Mark and I are talking about it, like him helping me out, set me up in places to do 5, 10-minute sets, 5, 7-minute sets. So I look forward to that. And I hope it's something that does happen because I think I could have a shot at being decent at this. And so I just need to put the work in. See, I'm the kind of person, I don't think I know something before I walk into it, or because my friend can do it, I think I can do it just as well. I don't have that hubris, that arrogance. I like to learn. I like to be like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Like, I have confidence. There's the difference. Confidence is not the same. There's nothing wrong with being confident. There is something wrong with being having hubris or arrogance, thinking you know something or you can do something as well as someone who's been doing it for a while. That's something I don't possess. Like, I like to learn as I go along, and that's just how I'm built. And I bristle at people who are built the other way. I really do, because they don't understand. And then when they fall flat on their face, they blame other people for it. So I don't dig on that. I really don't. So for me, this is what this is. It's me. Every time I'm stepping up to that stage, I'm learning what works, what doesn't work, how am I messing up, how am I reading the audience, and how am I constructing the jokes, and how am I riding the waves, And so this is where I'm at in figuring that out. So I look forward to the next time I do it. I'm excited to do it again, and it's something that I'll probably work on real soon. As soon as things die down a little bit in terms of my busy schedule, I'll be more focused and able to do it. But I know it's happening, Also, there was a great meet and greet there there was also a great meet and greet there at New York Comic Con. That was a blast. Like, it took me 20 minutes just to get off the sidewalk from all the fans that are out on the sidewalk, taking pictures, talking about the stuff. And listen, I want to tell you guys, all of you who came out, and all of you who came out to other meet and greets and probably will come out to meet and greets in the future, it really means a lot to someone like me. Like, it's great to talk to you guys and bust balls and have fun and be playful and hear your stories. And, some of you pulled me aside and talked to me about how the words on this podcast or the words on Don't Be a Beardo really inspired you all, or really connected with you all. And that means a lot to me. It really does, because it's not easy to put your story out there and your vulnerabilities, some would call weaknesses, to put them out there for people to see and to hear how much it really affected a lot of you and moved a lot of you and motivated you guys and made you feel like you weren't alone in the pain you were dealing with, or the feeling of feeling like an outsider, that that there are people just like me who you would term successful to a degree in this business who struggle with the stuff that we struggle with, and I don't struggle with the mental health stuff anywhere near to the level that I struggled with it, at the end of last year into this year for the first few months. I'm in a way better place about a lot of it, and just even now, I recently started dating someone. It ended, but the way I was dating her was a way that I've never dated anybody before. And it was great. There was no need to connect with this person 1,000% and make sure that they, cared about me too. There was no desire to sleep with them quickly so that I could make a connection with them. There was none of that. It was so much more relaxed. Like, hey, just meet up for drinks, have great conversation at drinks. Great, hug, move on. I wasn't trying to kiss her on the first drinks meeting, or first like to kind of like stroke my ego or make me feel less insecure about the situation. There's a difference now, man. I know what I bring to the table, and there's power in that. This is not arrogance. It's being confident who you are. If you know what you bring to the table, it relaxes you in the situation. If you believe in what you bring to the table, it relaxes you in any situation. And that's what I found with this girl. And she was great. She's an event planner. She works for some trading company or stocks, some kind of financial company. We had gone out a couple, like the second date was a really nice date. Went to dinner, kind of walked around a little bit, held hands a little bit. And then there was a little bit of kissing at the end. And it was nice, And I was thinking, well, this could be sweet. And then we were like texting each other every day. Not all day, but just every, like a little bit every day. Checking in with each other. And then I was at New York Comic Con, but unfortunately I couldn't see her before she left for Chicago. She did her event, and we both got busy to try to set up a third date. We went out on the third date, and I could tell that she wasn't 100% dialed in. So something had happened. Either she had met someone else, or maybe she lost interest during our communication or whatever. And that's fine. And that's okay. It didn't work out. And for the first time ever, I didn't slide into the place of like, oh, what's wrong with you? Or you didn't make it work? Or, like you should stop trying. You're like, no, it just didn't work out. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And that's great. And I know maybe other people who are listening to this like have always worked this way. I haven't. I've always been like, whenever something doesn't work, I've always been like, oh, what did you do wrong? Or what did you say wrong? Or could I have said things better? And that's plagued me for years in my life. And I think what happened last year with the breakdowns I had to have those breakdowns to climb through, to fall down all the way down into that pit, to climb out that pit, to understand what it took to climb out, and embracing and understanding the strength that I have to climb out. And when I climbed out a different person. I'm not 100% a different person, but when it comes to that, I came out a different person. And there's power in that for me. I no longer pine for my ex-girlfriend of 5 years to try to have that final conversation, to try to have that, reconciliation, try to have all that kind of shit that I was looking for, the closure. If you can get closure, great. I encourage you to get closure if you can get closure. But closure also means you have to be willing to accept your faults, your flaws, your mistakes, your shortcomings, and not just blame the other person for everything. You have to be willing to create the space to hear what they have to say, to hear if they're going to take responsibility for what their part in it, and then you be willing to take responsibility for your part in it. If you just want closure, you can blame them. That's not really closure. If you want closure, so you want to set up a closure conversation so you can bitch them out. That's not closure. That's you satisfying your egotistical need to be above them, or to give them a piece of your mind, or to tell them your feelings, And there's no resolution in that. There's no real closure in that. Only you can give yourself real closure, And I had been so obsessed with wanting to have that final conversation with my ex of 5 years, or with the girl I dated last year who really messed me up with the stuff that she pulled. And listen, let's be honest, like this, she pulled a lot of stuff. I found out so much later, like she had talked to all her friends about our situation, even though she had told me not to tell anybody about us. And then she confronted people at my job who were talking to me that she knew. Like, what are you telling him? What is he asking you about? Like all this kind of real mania stuff that she wanted to control. And then I realized, like, she's just this kind of insecure person who wants to control the narrative. She wanted to control me, control the situation, and be like seen as the good girl, seen as, the one who was always right about everything. Like she really wanted to control the narrative so that she could be seen as like no flaws and have no fault, And when I blocked her on Instagram and blocked her on Facebook, that really sent her into a tailspin about wanting to control the narrative, because she's the one she told me this, that she was the one that usually blocks. She's the one that usually makes the strong moves in that way. But that's for her to retain control and for her to be like, the stronger person. But for me, I did it because it was too painful to see her moving on. I needed to shut that down so that I could heal. It wasn't about being above her or being strong or conveying some kind of strength. No, that was about like pushing her away so that I could heal. And if you're in the same situation, if you're in a situation like that, you have to be selfish for yourself. And I don't mean selfish like you don't care about their feelings. I mean, you have to be selfish for yourself of like, hey, I need to do this so that I can make myself move on. I can make myself go forward. I can make myself let you go and forget you and learn the lessons and then remove pain. And only you can take responsibility for yourself when it comes to that. And so I encourage you to do that. If you're in that situation, if you're in a bad situation, you're in a situation trying to get over somebody, and you're still communicating with this person, and you're still trying to keep that person in your life, I would encourage you to take a break from that person and focus on yourself and create the space to focus on yourself. And then later on, you can come back. And trust me, you can come back. I've had it happen to me before. I've had women come back into my life who weren't so good to me in relationships and apologize. It's no lie. I've had 5 separate occasions women have come back into my life and been like, hey, at that time, this is what was going on with me. I was thinking this, but I realize now in retrospect. And I've always been like, listen, I appreciate the apology. You don't need to apologize for anything. Like that was a long time ago. Things happened. It was what it was, And I've always been very receptive to that because I have done that. I have talked to women that in the past that I like relationships where I wasn't in the best space or I wasn't in the best frame of mind to have a relationship and I thought I was, but then it fell apart or things didn't really work out in a good way or things ended badly. And I've always like tried to reach out to seek forgiveness because we grow. That's part of who we becoming a person. Just like I said earlier, like you falling down on your face is not you failing. It's like, okay, what do I do next time so that doesn't happen, right? Relationships are like that. They're all about growth. You have to learn the lessons and move on to the next thing. You can turn yourself into an embittered person if you want to, but the other option is learning, and who knows, maybe like for me, like I'm 47, I'm about to turn 47. I turned 47 on Monday, October 23rd, right? I'm about to hit that number. And of course I don't look it, nor do I feel it. I mean, there are some mornings where I feel it, but I don't really feel it because I have all this energy. And it may not happen for me. But what brings me peace now is that I've been through all the stuff I've been through and I came out the other side and I'm in a good place. And I'm happy. Like I'm really happy. I would love to be with somebody and, be in a relationship and like, have those kinds, build that kind of groundwork and foundation. And if it's supposed to happen for me, it will. When it's supposed to happen for me, And but I'm encouraged by the fact that I'm in this place that I've finally understood how to be in a relationship, like how to approach a relationship, how to approach a dating situation that isn't fraught with my insecurities or my self-worth or making that person be the battlefield for my shit. And that was the stuff that I had been doing. No, it doesn't mean that they weren't also making mistakes or they weren't also, like not the best person for me or the right fit for me. That can still be true. And it also can be true that I had stuff I needed to work through for myself on work on me, so it's great. It's great to be in this place. It's very strange. So I'm navigating as best I can this like mentality. The chanting helps. The stuff with the Sogu Gakkai International, the Buddhist stuff, that really helps. It really puts me in a great frame of mind. But yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. So like I said, you don't lose, you learn. So it's really powerful in that way. So anyway, so the meet and greet was great, and meeting all and talking to you all, it was a fantastic experience, and hearing your thoughts and hearing your opinions, and having those impromptu movie trivia contests, which I had with a couple of people there. Like it's so great that you guys want to do that and you want to challenge. And some of the ladies that were there that came up and spoke to me, like it was so awesome to know that you guys are moved by the stuff I talk about. That means so much, because the majority of the time it is a bunch of dudes. So, but I always want to hear from women who listen to the stuff I talk about, or listen to my shows, or listen or watch me on the Schmodown, or watch me on Collider, and hear what they think and hear what they feel, and do they feel any kind of connection to what I'm talking about, And so it's just it's great. It was such a great experience all around, and I learned so much. And I stayed with David Griffin. And he's a perfect roommate. What a great guy. Just a really great guy to hang out with. And he's very cool. He's very clean. He gives you your space. He does his thing. You do your thing. It's great. And we stayed at the Holiday Inn. We got breakfast every morning, which was nice. Perry was obsessed with her juices every morning. So we kind of, almost every morning when we would walk with Perry, we had to walk and stop by her juice place. She should get her juice. All of it was great. And being in New York was nice. And it was really funny to be in New York later in my life, because I've had a great love affair with that city for a long time. And I started going when I was in my teens to New York. And I would drive up and see a show and stay the night at a friend's house, or stay the night at a friend's place or a hotel, and then drive back the next day. And it was always great. But there were times in my 20s, late 20s and 30s, where I felt the city was moving so fast that I couldn't catch up, But like I said, I'm in a different place. I'm in my late 40s. I'm more settled in who I am as a person. So I was able to go to New York and City and just enjoy the city. I walked Perry to one of her personal workouts, personal assistant workout, personal trainer workouts. And I walked back by myself slowly through the city, kind of explored Times Square a little bit, walked to the theaters that were doing the shows, and kind of remembered some of the theaters and some of the shows that I'd seen in those theaters in my past years. So it was a great trip down memory lane for me. I even stopped at one of the parks and just sat and watched people for a while. So to me, those are the excitement. Yeah, I could have gone to the Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, could have done all those kinds of things, but I didn't feel like that was the right trip to do that. Plus, we were incredibly busy from morning to night with the numerous things we had to do, numerous things we had to work on and do and cover and talk about and whatever. So I didn't really have that day to go sightseeing necessarily. And then Sunday when I woke up, the day we left, I think Sunday or Monday, the day we left, I was kind of sick. So I was already becoming sick. So I didn't really have that energy to go to those other places. So, but anyway, this is what was so much fun. This entire experience of New York Comic Con. There were so many great stories, and we watched UFC one night on pay-per-view in this bar that's the Playwright, which is I guess a bar for when the shows are letting out, people come to those bars and drink. You know what I'm saying? So that was a great experience, and getting to do all the stuff that we did with people. So New York Comic Con, fantastic. But, all that stuff was breaking in New York Comic Con as well. All that stuff that, with Weinstein, with other stuff at Screen Junkies, or stuff at other places. I don't want to say too much about it because, all I can tell you is that stuff is terrible and it's abhorrent. And to read about it, to read those posts, to read those emails that were sent and text messages that were sent, it's just terrible, and I feel horrible for the women who experienced this. I absolutely respect their bravery and strength to step forward and talk about it, to post about it, to write these testimonials to the things that they've experienced. And this stuff is never ending with Weinstein. There's so much that's coming out that's just horrible to read and incredibly unfortunate. Horrible that these women had to experience this kind of terrible behavior from this man. And I respect April and JT so much for what they did, and April encouraging people to reach out to her and her submitting all that stuff to DeFi. And so we'll see what happens, but I don't want to speak too much about it. I think there's a lot of stuff in play. There's a lot of stuff, but I think all of us can agree that it was terrible. It was horrible that it happened to the women that it happened in that person's sphere. And they did not deserve any of it. And this is something for you all who are listening. If you've experienced this in an extreme way, in a terrible way, there are people who are willing to listen and support you and fight with you. I think the day of I don't believe you is coming to an end. And I know there are still people, if you go through Twitter and YouTube, there are those asshole commentators who are just going to assume the worst. But the growing chorus of people who want to support people who step forward and talk about it, who want to give them a space to feel safe to express everything that happened, either in broad brushstrokes or the most specific detail. I think that's a good thing. I know that's a good thing. And I'm glad we're changing in that way as a society. And as men, hopefully. You know, there's this destruction of toxic masculinity. We want to destroy that. We want to move past it. Acceptance is the key. You can still be strong and vulnerable. Acceptance is the key. You know, the day of the brooding, angry guy has got to go away. You know, that exists because that person doesn't understand how to speak their feelings or express their emotions or have the emotional vocabulary to express that. You know, there's a lot of anger underneath, a lot of ball of resentment underneath all that anger, all of that, you know, brooding quietness. And so I hope this serves as a wake-up call, you know, to so many people to look at themselves. I certainly had to look at myself and my past behavior in my 20s and 30s, you know, and as a teenager. Like, what did I do to contribute? What mistakes have I made, you know, in pursuit or in comment? So it forces reflection, and it should, you know, and it's good for all of us. Because if any of us have kids, young men we're raising, we want to raise them right, you know. We want to raise them in a respectful way. And so hopefully what the end result of all this stuff is that things start to finally change. And respect and attention is paid to the people who are coming forward with this stuff. And acceptance and comfort are given to these people. And consequences to the people who did it, you know? So that's what I have to say about that. I don't want to say too much about it other than that. So the other thing that's been going on this week is Trump is getting worse and worse. And I don't want to go too much into this because I don't want to give him too much attention or too much of my time. But you all know this is getting worse and worse. Every day it's something even more worse than the day before. As I'm recording this, the check, the $25,000 check that he was supposed to send to that family, that he says now the check is in the mail. He was supposed to send it in June, I think, or August, and it never got sent. What he said to the slain soldier's widow, that he knew what he signed up for. The battles he's having with McCain. All this stuff is just like the article they did in New Yorker on him. All of this stuff is just getting worse and worse. And I wonder where we go from here. Like, I legitimately wonder what the next option is, because Pence is the option, and I don't know if Pence is the right option. So what do we do at that point? What's our next step? So I haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything about Mueller in the last few weeks, or last couple of days, rather. Last couple of weeks. We haven't heard anything of where it's advancing, if it's advancing, how far away they are, how close they are. And he seems to be getting more and more desperate, Trump does, with his tweets. Like, those tweets are becoming the rantings and ravings of a person who knows they're guilty. And they're just pulling out all the tricks. You know, those of you who deal with addicts or with people who are unwilling to look at themselves, unwilling to take responsibility for their behavior, you know this pattern where they just try to set the earth on fire, scorch the earth around them to try to, get sympathy, or they blame other people so that they never have to look at themselves, or they claim that you're the problem for questioning them about it. Like today, the Sarah Huckabee Sanders said, the press had a biased agenda by asking about this check. It's a legitimate question. It's not a biased agenda. It's a legitimate question. And this is these things that just keep happening. Like he keeps messing with the veterans, keeps messing with the military, even though he claims he defend them. He jokes about the religion stuff, and there he is in front of those evangelicals. He's doing these kinds of things. He's a man who will say anything at any time, at any place, and anywhere in order to stay in power, stay elected, or keep his money. And that's such a terrible example for our kids. Regardless of political differences, you can exist with someone who is somewhat rational. No matter what side of the fence they're on politically, they have to be rational. He is not a rational person, And that's what drives me crazy, drives me nuts, and worries me to death, is that where does this go from here, So we'll see. It's going to be something. And I hope it's something that we, in the long run, will get rid of. That's the thing. I don't impeach. I don't mean in any other way other than impeach, because this is just becoming too overwhelming as a nation. And then what does it make us look like to the rest of the world? So I hope we resolve that sooner rather than later. We shall see. When I got back from New York Comic Con, I got super sick. I was so crazy sick. And I tried to take a couple days, like half days, and it wasn't enough. And then I had to take one full day because it was just too much. It was overwhelming. Whatever it was overwhelming. And I NyQuil'd the hell out of myself. So I would wake up, take NyQuil, go back to sleep, wake up, take NyQuil, go back to sleep, wake up, take NyQuil. And eventually, finally, it went away. But it was a rough sickness. I'm not going to lie. It was a little tough. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, the NBA started. Oh, Gordon Hayward, that injury. What a shame. That is just heartbreaking to see that. It was, and if you watch the video of the Cavs bench when it happened, they almost ran off the court. They were so disgusted and overwhelmed by having to watch that gruesome injury. What a shame that is. I don't even know. They've said out indefinitely. They haven't said for the season yet officially, but everyone seems to think it's for the season. I think the same kind of injury happened to Paul George, and it took him a year to come back. So there's possibilities. It's just a shame because we love good basketball, and no matter who you're cheering for, you want to see the best versus the best, and see how much they enjoy themselves, see how much you can enjoy yourself watching them compete against each other. And unfortunately, we'll have to wait on that with the Celtics. And to their credit, they took it down to 102.99, so they didn't miss a beat. As of this recording, my Yankees are 3-2 rather, 3 ahead, 3-2. They've won 3 straight against the Astros, so they go back for the last 2 games in Houston. Game 7 if necessary, but certainly Game 6. So this is interesting. This team is a scrappy little team, and I can't believe they're doing it. Like, it's just so shocking to me that they've gotten this far. If they can overturn 2 game deficits twice in one playoffs sequence, I don't know. You got to give them a lot of credit that they have a real shot at pulling this off and taking on possibly the Dodgers, who are up 3-0, and the Cubs. The Cubs look lost against the Dodgers, man. That's just amazing to watch. Jesus. I'm going to try to get Matt Nost on next week for us to do an NBA preview special. At least a little bit of a preview, like a half an hour discussion about what we think is going to be the teams coming out and things of that nature. So, I'll definitely have Matt come on to do that. If you haven't listened to our top 10 show, we just did the top 10 real life heroes movies. So you should definitely go and download that and listen to that latest episode. For those of you who don't know, I do a podcast called The Cinephiles, Cine-Files. That's on iTunes. You can download the episodes there. Listen to the stuff Steve and I talk about and the different guests we've had on, different movies we've done, things of that nature. So it's just a really, really fun experience doing that, doing those podcasts, doing those shows. And of course, we are on the SK Plus podcast channel. That's the Top 10 show, and me, the Outlaw Nation show. We're on the SK Plus podcast channel. So please subscribe to them, listen to their work, listen to all the shows that are on there. After Schmodown, the Schmodown Rundown, Don't Be a Beardo, the new show with Ace and RB3. What else am I forgetting? Oh, the Wanger Show, all that. Just definitely listen to everything and leave them comments and give them some likes and what have you. What else? What else have we got going on? Oh, so I'm finally over the sickness thing. So that felt good. there's been a lot of screenings. I went to see Only the Brave this past Monday. Here's what I'll say about Only the Brave. Like, we only had like 5 or 6 minutes to talk about it with Perry. So here's what I'll say. Only the Brave is an interesting film. I enjoyed the film. I think the film had issues with connecting the plot a little bit more. I wish they had connected things just a bit more with the relationships, but the acting was superb. Josh Brolin was great. Jennifer Connelly is fantastic. I love her to pieces. She's a very authentic and real actress, and you can tell it comes from her guts. You know, it's very real. It's organic. It's authentic, and it comes from her guts. You can feel that in her performances. You can feel that on her most stark performances, like Requiem for a Dream or Dark Water or something like this. Like, you can sense her power as an actress. Or House of Sand and Fog. My God, if you haven't seen The House of Sand and Fog, that is just powerful, powerful stuff from her. And so you love those kind of actors, because at least for me, I do. I gravitate and connect to those kinds of actors because I know what it's like to act from the gravel in your gut. Like, I get it. You know, and to radiate that out as an actor, when you see certain actors do that, you just marvel that they were able to find the key, or the key to unlock that, to make themselves be that way, because it really does work overall when you're on screen. All right, let's see what else. The Gifted. Are you guys still watching The Gifted? Those are The Gifted and Legends of Tomorrow, my favorites. Those are the big time favorites right now. Legends of Tomorrow, I've become a massive fan on. If you're watching on TV Talk. Oh, by the way, thanks everybody for the incredible words and comments of support for the time I stood in for Josh McCouga, or filled in for Josh McCouga while he was on his honeymoon, his marriage and honeymoon. It was my pleasure to do TV Talk. So many great guests, so many great, like Grace Hancock, number one, is the one who should be thanked first, because Grace really helped me like compile the notes and, you know, figure out the pace and what do we do on a Wednesday TV Talk versus a Friday TV Talk versus a Monday TV Talk. She really helped me like set the pace. And David Griffin, of course, until he took the job at IGN, David Griffin was great at helping me out as well. Definitely got to give props to Emma Fyfe and Sinead DeVries. They were all there helping me out as well. And also doing, you know, then they put me on to Star Trek Discovery. That has been a fun show to talk about, and a fun crew to do that with. You know, getting to do it with Ashley and Jason Inman, Jowin. They're such, I can't express to you how much I really care about and love Jason Inman and Ashley Victoria Robinson. Like, they're two of the best people I've ever met in this business. Two of the nicest people you're ever going to meet in this business. Two of the most unassuming people you're ever going to meet in this business. And for those of you sending these terrible comments, in case any of you are listening, sending these terrible comments to them on YouTube, you're a bunch of idiots. They're such good people, and they know their shit. And they, you know, like, they have such great chemistry, and when they talk about stuff, it's so much fun to watch them. And so anytime I can do a show with them is always an honor and a joy for me. So being able to do Star Trek Discovery as many weeks as we've done it has been fantastic for me, because I've able to spend more time with Jason and with Ashley, and also Robert Meyer Burnett, who I love to pieces and respect so much about his knowledge of Star Trek. Like, it's just, I respect him so much with how much he knows. So it's been great to be on that panel and work and host that show and get that going, because they've been just, there's so much, they teach me so much through every episode. Like, I think I know a lot, and then they make references that I don't understand or I have to look up, and I appreciate that. And that's the kind of quality analysis you're getting if you tune in to the Star Trek Discovery after show, because both Jason and Robert Meyer Burnett just can bring it when it comes to Star Trek knowledge. I still think Christian should have that 5-way Star Trek thing, so we'll see what happens. What's up? What else? Oh, so if you're listening to this tomorrow, my match comes out on Friday. So, you know, speaking of Jason Inman, I take on Jason in this match. Listen, Jason has acquitted himself really, really well. We've seen him, you know, kind of step up to the plate, save Scott a few times, do his own thing, and you know, I respect Jason a lot. He knows a lot about movies, but the kid's a youngin', and I'm going to take him out. And I got to take him out because I want my belt back, and I got to go through whoever I got to go through to get it. I'm going to do it. So if, you know, my boy's first, then so be it. And it's no hard feelings, Jason, no hard feelings. But if you're first, you got to go. It's like that line in Heat, right? He said, if it's between you and some woman who's some husband whose wife you're going to turn into a widow. Brother, that's no choice at all, and that's the way I feel. So, I gotta take him out. There's nothing to do about it. And I hope I do, because I really want that belt back around my waist. Those are the things that are going on in my world. I don't know what else. How are you doing? Are you guys doing all right? Like, I know it's been 2 weeks. I apologize for that. How are you? Are you doing what needs to be done? Are you, pushing forward? Are you exploring what's going to make you happy? Are you confronting the things that you're doing so you don't do them, so that you can be happy? Are you taking the steps necessary so that you can be happy in your life and in your world? I've been taking some steps recently that might shock some of you in the long run, but I'm doing them so that I can be happier in my world. And, there are some things that I might be letting go of soon, and I'll have to do that in order to be more relaxed and happy in my world. And we'll see. I may not do it, but we'll see. It's certainly stuff I've been kicking around. Because in the end, that's what I've learned is, like, I got to take care of myself. What's going to make me happy? What's going to put me in the right frame of mind to tackle the world? What's going to give me the strength I need to tackle situations? And that is, what I focus on and what's important. So what I ask you to do is do the same thing. Like, where are you at in your life? Are you depressed? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are you angry? All these kinds of things. And I've been there many, many times. And I may still go back there. You never know. The world is a crazy place. One of you listening to me right now might be the next, studio head, the next famous director, the next famous actor, the next famous whatever, and nothing would make me happier. Nothing would make me happier. So these are the kinds of things. So I encourage you, like, take like we've always said here on the Outlaw Nation, do you take it one step at a time, focus on yourself, figure out what it is that's going on, figure out what's affecting you, figure out what's putting you down or what's not putting you in the right frame of mind, and then take the steps to fix it. It's really important. And I don't mean fix it in a way like, okay, it's done, wiping my hands on a towel. I mean fix it like, what is it that's occurring that has always been occurring? What are the patterns that I'm repeating over and over again? What are these patterns? What do they mean? And it's important to explore them because we're all a system of patterns. All of us. And there's a reason for that. So you got to be aware of those kinds of things and put it in motion. It's really important. What else? Yeah, so tell me, like, are you in a good place? Are you in a better place? What do you need from me? Like, what do you need from the Outlaw Nation to every week to, like, put you in the right frame of mind, put you at ease? But, like, do you want me to find a saying? Do you want me to find song lyrics that apply? Do you want me to, like, look up poems or look up famous sayings from famous people? Whatever you need me to do, I am willing to do in Outlaw Nation to make sure you guys are cool and you're in a good place. And maybe by hearing me say these things or talk about these things, it puts you in a good place. And that means a lot to me, honestly, because I've been really moved by some of y'all's stories and thoughts and feelings about situations. And I can't show emotion while I'm there, obviously in these meet and greets or whatever, or doing the hosting of the panel, but there is those kinds of things. So, yeah. So I encourage you. I'm behind you. I support you. Fight for what you want. Don't give up. Fuck, man, don't give up. I almost gave up. And that's powerful to say for me. It's, it's hard and it's emotional, but it almost happened. And look where I'm at now. Look what happened by not doing that. And that matters. So if you can hear my voice, and if it matters to you at all, what I have to say, what I'm saying, or my voice, I encourage you to not do it. I encourage you to believe. To fight. Take it 1 second, 1 minute at a time if you have to. One wave of emotion at a time. You've survived so many waves. You'll survive these. You'll get past it. Life, what is it in Princess Bride? Life is pain, mistress. Anybody says different is selling something. That's the truth. Life is pain. But you can come to terms with your pain and move on. And that's really important. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to work your points, work what you need to do, find your strength, find your power, and pursue what's going to make you happy, pursue what's going to put you in the best place. It's really important that you do that. Because you never know when you finally might stop yourself. 3 months down the road, what can be waiting for you? 6 months down the road, what can be waiting for you? You never know. So I encourage you. Keep the fight going. I'm behind you. The Outlaw is behind you 110%. Listen to the words. Find lyrics. Find Bible passages or any religious passages from any religious Bible or religious book, rather. Find famous people sayings. Find whatever. Something is going to resonate for you. Trust me on this. Like everything else in life, you make the effort. If you work at it, the positive stuff will come. You just got to be willing to work at it, And I know all of you listening to me can do it. All of you. And I want you to do it. Hell, I fucking need you to do it. Because one of you may save my life out there. One of you may be a doctor or someone who's at the right place at the right time while I'm in some other state and pushes me out of the way. Or so, like anything is possible. You just have to believe. There you go. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Outlaw Nation this week. I really appreciate all your comments, all your words, all your messages, everything you reach out to me and tell me. I can't tell you how much I humbly appreciate it. And it motivates me to. It inspires me to. And, I want to give a special, how would I say this? A special message to my friend Jeff Snyder. And I encourage you guys too. Jeff lost his mother today as I'm recording it, as we're Wednesday, lost his mother this morning, and she was only 61. And that's a very, very difficult thing to overcome and very, very difficult thing to confront. Because your parents are supposed to die when they're old. Parents say all the time, you shouldn't die before your kids. You should die before your kids. You should go before your kids go, right? Parents say that all the time. But by the same token, like, that's you want to have your parents around as long as possible, and as many years, decades as possible. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. I lost my dad when he was 72. You just never know. So if you have any time today, or when you're listening to this, make a note to yourself if you're driving or whatever, and reach out to Jeff on Twitter and offer your condolences. And he posted a very sweet message about his mom and tell him you're thinking about him and encourage him. Because I tell you, when my father passed, those words were invaluable to me. People coming up and hugging me or saying, like, anything you need to bring over, anything you need to get for you, anything you need your mom or your brother or your sister, anybody needs, we'll get it for you. Don't worry. And that speaks to a strong community. And I know we are a strong community on Collider/Schmoes. No, I know we're a strong community. So I want you all to take the time to send him a quick letter and tell him how much you care about him, and tell him how much you've enjoyed him, tell him how much he's meant to you, tell him anything you want to tell him and make him feel stronger. And if you want to tell a story about your own situation with your own mom or your own dad or whatever, that's certainly possible too. So, Jeff, I'm thinking about you. I love you, man. I'm sorry, so very sorry for your loss. But hopefully people will reach out from Outlaw Nation and maybe hashtag Outlaw Nation when you reach out to him and let him know, that we have a strong army of people who want to do good, who want to be smart, who want to help people in the world. And I'm proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you all to listen every week, who make changes and make differences in the world. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't joined my Facebook page, you can just find it by typing Outlaw Nation. When you log into Facebook, type in Outlaw Nation and search. It should come up. Join the page. Join the page. If you can answer the questions, great. If you can't, no worries. Just join the page. There's great conversations already happening there. Great things occurring. So why not be a part of it? It's a blast. Trust me on that. Okay, everyone, I want to thank you again so much for listening to me here on the Outlaw Nation podcast. It's been my honor to speak to you all this week and talk about my world. I didn't get to everything, but I would encourage you all to send me questions, and maybe I'll do like another master post where questions Q&A, and I'll answer some questions. Maybe not next week, but certainly in 2 weeks, because we got basketball season coming up. So Matt and I might have our little annual conversation about the season and what we think is going to happen. So thanks again for listening on the SK Plus podcast channel. Remember, there's so many other shows on here: the After Schmo, the Schmo Now Rundown, Don't Be a Beardo, Wanger Show, the new show with Ace and Robert with RB3. There's so much content here, and of course, if you want to go and to the parent company, which is Collider, there's so much there with movie talk, TV talk, the reviews we do, the trailer reactions we have. There's so much that we do that you all would enjoy. There's so much that we get into. So, all right, I think that's everything. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Take it one step at a time. I got you. And go get yours in this world. Ain't nobody going to get it for you. Go get yours in this world. And be patient. It's number one thing. All right. You guys can always follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and Instagram, ROCHA. See all the shows I'm hosting, co-hosting, see all the projects I'm working on. All those things are usually go through there or the Twitter. So just do that. And of course, the Cinephiles. And the Top 10 Show. The Top 10 Show, we have a Patreon. So if you guys have been massive fans of the Top 10 Show for a long time, if you have been just enjoying the content we put out and things of that nature, and you've maybe wanted to contribute in some way, now you can. If you go to www.patreon.com, I think / the top 10 with the number 10, you'll see our Patreon there. Donate some money if you feel like. We have so many tiers from 1 to like 50, I think, dollar amounts that people can give. And if there's like 30,000, 25,000 listeners of the Top 10 Show, if all of them gave $1, then we'd be where we need to be to afford our own studio. We could record our stuff instead of in each other's houses. We could record it in a studio and rent an engineer, pay him for his time, those kinds of things. And so it'd be really fun. The other idea I've been kicking around is the idea of having a live Top 10 show. Someone mentioned that the other day, and it got inside my head, and it won't let go. And I wonder if there's enough fans, enough California fans for us to do a Top 10 show. That'd be interesting. That'd be a lot of fun. We shall see what happens with that. Oh, and the Cinephiles is a Patreon as well. It's www.patreon.com / the Cinephiles, CINE. It should be there. All right. That's all the plugs. I'm done. I'm going to bed. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for listening. I got you. The Outlaw got you. Never forget. All right. We'll talk to you next week.